Excuse me, Molo Sanbonani. Hello, how's it? Shalom. Good morning, good people. Good morning. I don't know where you are. You could be at work, you could be at home working, or you could be just a stay-at-home parent. Welcome to it. I usually don't do these morning shows, but they're actually quite nice. Quite nice indeed. Guys, Sanbonan, and I will be straight to the point today because my heart weighs heavy for our fellow South Africans out in Cape Town, who at the moment are going through what can only be described as a living hell. A disaster like that one, a fire that big, that has now destroyed key infrastructure, people's properties, and displaced so many students and people actually. Because I know there have been other folks also that have been evacuated other than the students at the University of Cape Town. But needless to say, our thoughts and prayers and assistance by way of donations are with you guys here at the Big Daddy Liberty Show. We are in full support of you guys. Guys, I would like to consider myself a Cape Townian in the sense that I spent a reasonably long time of my adult life in Cape Town, both for work and having actually settled there. My first property that I actually bought, that I'm now sold, but I bought, was in Cape Town in Milnerton. So, I'm really heartbroken to see the disaster of what this fire has done and the damage that is now being tallied by various people, whether it's private organizations or universities or even private companies. In fact, to that end, some of the images that we're seeing on social media of the damage, particularly at the University of Cape Town, where again, my heart goes out to that institution. I had attempted to study my master's degree there. I didn't finish, but I'd spent a year and a half of my life at that campus, and I know exactly what it means to those of us who have been to that campus, those of us who've used those facilities, including that library, the Jagger reading room, completely gutted by the fire. But let me not waffle on about it. I want you to see what I'm talking about, the visuals coming out of there. This is courtesy, of course, of EWN this morning. Guys, as you can see, the amount of damage is absolutely extensive. Now, for me, there's two issues here, very quick ones that I want to chew on. Number one, that library houses some of the most sensitive, rare collections, things that literally are a part and parcel of the cultural life of this country. And to see the library having sustained that amount of extensive damage is absolutely heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. Any society where libraries are burning, whether they're burning in an accident like this one, I'm assuming it's an accident. I know there has been someone who's been arrested for allegedly having started the fire, arson. But for the benefit of the doubt, let me say it's an accident, a natural disaster. To see a library go up in flames anywhere in the world is an absolute disaster, given the cultural importance of facilities like these, especially at an institution like UCT that houses some of the most rare collections, a lot of African literary works, a lot of rare stuff. I know the Xhosa diary, one of the I think one of the first ones is at UCT, and other key works are in that library. So to see that damage, really, it puts a lump in your throat, to be honest, because it robs future generations of what is a heritage, an academic heritage that is found at that institution. So that it's in that vein that I've been incredibly pissed off by the work types, the critical race theory types, the blacker than thou types, I like to call them, who literally celebrated when this fire began and was saying asinine things like, oh, wonderful, look at this fire, they said. This fire represents decolonization because it is burning this institution and the Rhodes Memorial that was just above it. And, essentially what they were suggesting is what they couldn't do. What they couldn't do, as fees must fall, and the other ragtag groupings of nearly swore, but these ragtag groupings of race grifting leftists, what they perhaps couldn't achieve with matches, seemingly a fire that is started from natural causes, is something that they want to celebrate. Can you imagine a more evil way of looking at the world, where your fellow human beings are suffering, thousands of students displaced at that institution, infrastructure that was shared by students, black, white, colored, Indian, irrelevant, infrastructure for all people gutted by this fire. And the first thing that popped into these people's minds was to call this decolonization and to celebrate it. Some even as evil as suggesting, oh no, they only cared as long as black people were evacuated and placed in safety. Everybody else, they said, no, it's fine. Let the fire consume them. This is the evil of these critical race theory types, the race merchants, the blacker than thous, what I often deride on the show as the blavity blacks and the social justice warrior whites, these people who trade on race. That is the evil of what their ideology has literally imbued in them. And then they wonder why ordinary people, the faith, flag, family, and freedom type South African, absolutely despises them. They genuinely wonder why, and they play victim in that regard. Or they'll claim, oh no, we're just hated by clever blacks, or we're hated by racist whites, they'll say. There is something fundamentally wrong with people who no longer see the humanity in others and take joy and pride in disasters like this for their own ideological reasons. That's the one thing that really, it grated, it annoyed me. It annoyed me. I'm trying to keep my language PC here. But let me move on to the other thing that that made me smile, at least, that reminded me that actually Cape Townians and really South Africans are a faith, flag, family, and freedom type society in terms of our common values. It brought a smile to my face when I saw organizations like Gift of the Givers. Unprompted, no one asked, they come forward and they say, you know what, we're here to help. There's hot meals here, 4,000 students, we've got your back. Restaurants like the Anker, if I'm saying that correctly, Den Anker or Der Anker, and I'm sure other organizations, restaurants in the hospitality industry, an industry that has been absolutely destroyed by the state and lockdowns, still found it within their hearts to dig deep in their pockets and support students, support people affected by this, providing meals. That's the faith, flag, family, and freedom type South Africa. UCT, the institution, for all of its issues and all of my criticisms in the past, kudos to them, sprang into action to support their students, having now organized alternative accommodation, I know with hotels in the city and the like. Guys, that is the culture, that is the values, that is who we really are as South Africans. Gotta give those people a shout out and props. And it's not the first time. Cape Townians have shown the rest of this country what solidarity truly looks like, what voluntary cooperation truly looks like in the face of disaster. This is not the first fire. And this is not the first disaster. They had a water crisis not so far long ago. So shout out to you, Cape Townians, man, for leading the way, for showing us what it really is to stand together in a time of crisis like this. Shout out to you guys. And shout out, my last shout out, if I must, because I must, sorry, is to the emergency services in that part of the world, the first responders, the fire services. Absolutely world class. Say what you want about Cape Town in the Western Cape, but their first responders are absolutely world class. Brave men and women fighting that fire, trying to limit damage to other properties, and of course, prevent lives being lost. Excuse me. And with that being said, also shout out to working for fire or working with fire. I may have butchered what the organization is, but it's a volunteer organization of firefighters. Shout out to you guys, man. This is what it really means for ordinary people to stand together in times of crisis. So that it creates a true picture of who we are as South Africans, as opposed to this hateful and loud minority of race grifting, whether it's the blabbity blacks or the social justice warrior whites. Loud, yes, but they do not represent us. So Cape Town, you're in our thoughts, you're in our prayers. If you can donate, guys, please donate. Especially to the guys who are fighting the fire, threw some water in there, some eye drops, I know stuff they needed, energy drinks. And Cape Townians have been generous already. I've seen some photos of just the sheer amount of donations and support that these people have received so far. Guys, that's real South Africa. Shout out to you guys. And the last thing I really want to look at this point, because it's weighing heavy on my mind, and it's something also that personally affects me because I've got a bad chest, is the air quality in Cape Town. Yo, guys, the photos that are coming out, the videos that are coming out, again, let me not waffle. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. Once again, thanks to EWN. I did steal this from you, but this was a video taken this morning of the emergency services, the firefighters, hard at work fighting, the helicopters water bombing, but look at the air quality. Yo, guys, trust me, for someone who has a bad chest like mine, I know other people who are asthmatic, if you're in that part of the world, it must be a living hell, an absolute living hell. So I hope, Cape Town will get those, once the fire's out in particular, that those winds can actually be of greater use to clear that air, push it out to sea, because if you are asthmatic or anything like that, or even if you're not, that cannot be healthy. And that perhaps even poses an even greater and broader, I suppose, health risk for people in that part of the world. So again, thoughts, prayers, and donations, guys, aimed at our fellow South Africans who are suffering at the moment. And with that being said, that's really all I want to share. Keeping an eye on this, it is a big story for me. It is something that really affects not just Cape Townians, not just residents of the Western Cape, but all of us, because again, there is the good and the bad in here. And it's that good that I'm arguing. We need to not only shout out, but also emulate as South Africans. So thoughts are with you guys. Keep safe if you're in that part of the world. And guys, I will see you in other vlogs. I'm back. I'm in Johannesburg, perhaps until the end of the month. We're just literally working on stuff, printing T-shirts, getting the website up and running, developing content for a campaign we're launching. So look out for that. That's all coming. We're busy at work here at the Big Daddy Liberty Show. I'll see you guys in the course of the week. Of course, Wednesday, 7 p.m., the Big Daddy Liberty Show, but I'm sure there'll be other vlogs later in the week. So guys, thank you very much for watching. And remember, as always, how I end the show, never trust a commie.